CG Market Watch, cryptocurrency news that you can use. So in today's top stories, we have Li Xiaolai's recording that was leaked through the internet. Now, who is Li Xiaolai and why does his opinions matter, and will his opinions actually create a ripple in the cryptocurrency space?
Okay, so first of all, he is a Bitcoin billionaire hailing from China. He started getting into the space very early, so he started mining Bitcoin when it was 2011. By 2014, he reportedly had 100,000 Bitcoin. So he's also participated in many ICOs such as Quantum, EOS, BitShares, and Steemit. So all this gives him quite a lot of big name in the space. He's been there from the beginning. A lot of people know who he is, and his words do carry weight, especially in China. For those of you in the US or overseas, maybe you haven't heard of him as much, but yes, he is a big name in the place.
No, I think the main gist of why this is kind of slightly important is that, you know, because he's someone of certain influence, right? His Twitter following is about almost 100,000, and he did mention that he is someone who he understands that cryptocurrency is all about community, and the value of the cryptocurrency lies in the network and the community. But right now, right, he mentions that strongly on how this network can be built through airdrops and exchanges. So I think more importantly, if you are someone who is holding any China-related coin, what does it mean for you? So when I heard it, I was like, okay, this guy is dissing these projects. It's not new, by the way. We already know that that more often than not, 90% of cryptocurrency projects tend to be scams, or either that they are not, they're just in the infant stage.
Yeah,
so when they don't,
even
the best ones get slammed. So right now, it's more of, okay, do you take his opinions to heart, or you believe in the bigger trend going forward? Right now, I think he's just basically a strong believer in cryptocurrency. Also going as far as to say that if the governments do not adopt cryptocurrency or blockchain, right, they are foolish. So if you're wondering where this source came from, we have the links to the description below. And in point number 2, we have US-China trade wars. So US imposing 25% tariffs on 34 billion Chinese goods on Friday, and US tariffs 800 items hit, including industrial machinery, medical devices, and auto parts. China tariffs, on the other hand, will be 545 American products, SUVs, meat, soybeans, and seafood. And China will not fire first.
China already retaliated.
Yes, already retaliated, right. Okay, so now Beijing, on the other hand, has offered to buy more US goods as a way of easing tensions, but was rejected. So
now the trade war has officially begun, and none of us are economists, so we won't be covering any of those sections on what happens during a trade war. But what does this mean for cryptocurrency as a whole? Because from what I know, a trade war is, if I impose a tariff, I'm basically employing protectionistic policies for myself. So let's say my goods sell for about $35, locally produced, sold within my own country. But if I import in something from China, let's say it costs $20 to make the same product, how do I make sure that my product can actually compete with these Chinese products? So one way is to lower my own costs, but the other way is to employ a tariff, so the Chinese product increases in price once it enters my country. So this way, it makes your goods more competitive, correct? So in economic sense-wise, that's really what a trade war is. It is a way for you to protect your own economy. But at the same time, for US to go into a trade war with China, for cryptocurrency, it actually seems slightly like good news, yes?
The reason is, I think, at the end of the day, if, let's say, for example, if you're having this tariff or trade war happen, it's going to be like, okay, instead of me investing in US products or, in fact, directly into the US currency, right now I'll have all this liquidity. Since you're being so uptight about it, right? I understand the whole theory about protectionism and everything like that, but it's going to actually, in the long run, help out Bitcoin. Right? Because it gives you an opportunity to kind of put your money into another asset class other than the US dollars.
Not just opportunity. I mean, I'm driven to put in another asset class. Normally, trade wars don't really come with a
But why not put it in gold? That's the question. I mean, there are other asset classes. There's always gold that you can put in. You can look at bonds if you need to, but not necessarily. So it's just more of helping everyone understand this, whether it matters. By the way, the US tariffs and the this China trade war is pretty important, guys. Right? So, okay, so the next topic will be about the Bitcoin's true value. So, assumption that there will be 21 million Bitcoins, but there are 2.78 to 3.79 million already lost.
Based on highest, lowest, conservative estimates. So what they do is they go through the web, they check all the blockchain transaction histories. So it's not an exact science, they're not exactly sure how much is lost, and they have made some assumptions such as some wallets may just be holding it for a really long time instead of it being lost. Or Satoshi Nakamoto's Bitcoins are not factored into this equation at all. But their point is that while the supply is capped at 21 million theoretically, in practicality, human error has already lost a significant sum of it.
Yes.
And this is cutting the already limited supply even shorter than it actually is. So instead of looking at a 21 million cap, we could be looking at a 14 million, 15 million cap of total number of Bitcoins produced. Because if you lose the hard drive, that's it. If you lose your private key, no one can retrieve it for you. So when the supply is short and the demand is not likely to decrease, what does this mean for price? It means that the price will likely go up, which we are talking about. If supply and demand, and we are only looking at supply and demand, if suddenly we realize the demand is increasing, but the supply has shortened more than it already expected to, we are looking at a huge increase in demand, in the price equilibrium. Yeah.
All right. So our last, but actually the most exciting point will be the fifth wave. Now, this fifth wave has not been defined by, I noticed when we were doing research on the fifth wave, there were very little articles with regards to this. Now, what is the fifth wave? Well, we assume that the fifth wave is defined by the price of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So there has been 1 to 4 waves that were likely referenced to previous times in the Bitcoin price going up. And the article mentioned above are all potential factors that could lead up to the fifth wave. So the website that we are going to be linking to is basically the source is all in the links below. So I feel that right now there's a large part of projects that are going out there, and also there's a huge requirement for regulations. At the same time, there's a huge demand for oversight across the board. Okay, because we want to also be able to protect investors who are investing in the space. Also, we want to have projects accountable to investors. It's something that is lacking in the space. Now, for big money or the institutional money that needs to come in, firstly, you have to have regulations. It's just the way it is. And prior to that, there was very little of that. But even though there was very little of oversight, media attention, regulations, the scams and the exchanges being hacked and all that were always there. All right, people losing their coins through some kind of code being, either a wallet hack or something like that. But at the end of the day, right, there is this call out for institutions to come in. And only when the institutions come in, or if they do decide to come in, it will be because it has the regulations in place. There's no way that I'm going to allow billions to flow into the space without regulations. It's not going to happen, guys. It's just the next wave. So the next wave will take place probably most likely because China might be opening up its gates again. Because last year, in July, they banned exchanges, they banned ICOs. Literally, it was a complete shutdown, and that was why you have the emergence of Binance. That was, because CZ is a Canadian national, right? So he was able to kind of, skip and was not affected directly.
By the China ban.
And
right?
exactly, yeah. So he was able to kind of grow during that period of time. Right? And now you're having BTCC coming back into the space. You're having Huobi coming back into the space, and they are all starting to re-establish themselves. So what does this actually mean, and why does this all tie up with the leaking of Li Xiaolai's tape? It's really all coming together, guys. So if there's anything, I'm actually more bullish about the overall cryptocurrency space. I'm not holding back. In fact, I will be looking at putting my money more into the coins that are centric around cryptocurrencies, or at least smart contract protocols in China.
Yeah, because for our past few market watchers, there's always been macro good news and maybe some micro bad news, like okay, a single coin got hacked,
a single coin got hacked,
or a single exchange was hit by something.
or an API hack, you know. But
okay, let's not get so.
but nonetheless, I think the good news is actually more prevalent in the market at the moment, and I think that people should zero in on what happens on the macro level rather than focus too much on the micro level. I've even seen people just quickly dump coins that they don't understand, which is great, right? Because you don't understand it, completely acceptable. But if you fail, if you're going to be starting into this space, it's time to really start getting invested. That's just my thoughts.
Opening up.
Yes, China is
India opening up.
Exactly.
Korea, Holland opening up.
Japan is already open.
Yeah, so all the governments are giving good signs.
Exactly.
But prices are still being relatively
suppressed,
dormant.
Suppressed, dormant,
which is a good sign for all of us.
It's a good thing. I'd rather you buy it when things are cheap.
Yeah.
Well, that's all the time that we have today for CG Market Watch. Don't forget to like, comment, and share, and subscribe to the channel and click on the notification, and we'll see you in the next episode.